Recent warming in the last part of the 20th century is very much likely to be because of human activities.
I would say that there is sufficient risk for us to be taking some serious action.
Experts say we've got 8 years to act to reduce our emissions, with very strong targets there as well.
And we, as the current caretakers and the people of power, have got to change.
I believe New Zealand can aim to be the first nation to be truly sustainable.
We've got to cut carbon emissions by 90% in the rich countries by 2050.
We've got 8 years to do something on climate. Let's get moving.
People think about climate change and the environmental practices of businesses when making consumer choices, and businesses are growing increasingly aware of that. Now, whether they're taking action on climate change for climate change's sake because they see it as an urgent issue, or whether they're taking it for commercial reasons is unclear in some situations.
We've got a plan to basically get Huntly out of the electricity market over the next 10 or 15 years, and step by step we'll be able to do that by bringing more generation to market, more renewable generation and more gas. I mean, gas is a thermal fuel, it's a fossil fuel and it emits CO2, but the CO2 emissions are a third of coal emissions. Like, we agree with the idea that New Zealand should be 100% renewable. Where we disagree is how long we're going to go to get there. It's going to take longer than 5 to 10 years to get there. We think it's more of a 20-year, 30-year program.
Some of it's been driven from a key set of leaders like CEOs or whatever who are really concerned about doing the right thing. There's also people who are starting to get a bit of pressure from their customers.
At the moment what we've been getting is all slogans from our politicians. We have Helen Clark using words like sustainability and carbon neutral, and John Key has got his chanting his mantra of 50 by 50, which is 50% reductions in emissions by 2050, but really these words are meaningless without real policy and detail on how they'll be achieved.
We need some really fundamental changes to the way our society is organised. For example, one thing we're pushing in particular is free and frequent public transport. That's just one example of the kind of changes that we need.
The transport sector's a biggie, and I guess there one would be looking at more public transport, but also going to biofuels.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it?
We need to set meaningful emission reduction targets urgently. We need to set a price on greenhouse gas emissions from all sectors, so all sectors facing a price on greenhouse gas emissions, including agriculture. We've got the emissions trading scheme that Labour is currently working on, but the emissions trading scheme is not good enough. There's likely that all sectors won't be included initially. That excludes agriculture, which accounts for 48% of New Zealand's greenhouse gas emissions.
Agriculture, well, I put that in the research basket at the moment, and that's where solutions are going to come, with sorts of feed mixes for animals so that they produce less methane.
What's new about this? That people know exactly what's happening in the cow's room.
You put a tax on the people making electricity, they can use more geothermal, use more wind and so on. But you put a tax on agriculture and all you can do is have less animals.
People's participation in this campaign is key. It's all about changing attitudes, changing lifestyles and decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis. And some of them are really simple, really easy, just to wash your clothes with cold water, to walk to the dairy instead of take the car. Really simple things. It's all about attitude change.
What's happened over time is that we've become more interested in stuff, and we've kind of become less interested in humanity. So it's how we try and embed that back in.
We've moved past the what difference can we make argument, If other countries were to say what difference can we make, we'd be in a far worse situation than we are now. We need to all be playing our part. We may be only 4 million people, but there are The world is made up of lots of groups of 4 million people, and we can each be doing our part to fight climate change.